Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 76 of Pokemon Horizons titled, Why Not? Sohdayo just dropped, and in this episode, our heroes meet up with a former Rising Voltacular member to find out about Entei. What will they find out? Let's talk about it. After how serious the last episode was in tone, this one is a comedy in comparison. There are a ton of puns in this episode, all tied to its main focus character, Sohdayo, a former member of the Rising Voltacular. His name is a pun that roughly translates to "that's right" or "exactly," and his partner Pokemon is a Wynaut, whose Japanese name Sohnano is another pun that translates to "is that so?" or "really?" It's a combination that makes for a fun dynamic. Sohdayo confidently says things that you can't always tell are true or not, while his Wynaut either questions it or backs him up. I don't speak Japanese, but I'm pretty sure that's the vibe they're going with here. Just from that alone, you can tell that this episode is going to be a much more lighthearted affair. We learned pretty early on that Friede told the crew that they were going to ask him about Entei, but that Molly does not seem to like or trust Sohdayo's words. This has a bit of mystery about why that might be the case and what could have happened in the past. We learned that one day he just kind of left the ship. Friede had planned to meet him near a savannah, but when they arrive there, he isn't there yet. So, while they wait, Liko, Roy, and Dot decide to explore the savannah to look for rare Pokemon. They don't see any Pokemon at the savannah first, but Dot's Quaxwell does find a nearby body of water. It looks like it's a place that used to be an oasis, though there's not much water left now. As our hero's Pokemon enjoy the water, a very angry Farigiraf all of a sudden starts charging towards them. They are forced to fight it off from a distance as it's incredibly fast. While the battle rages on, someone appears from the side watching our heroes and talking about how this is a good scoop. He questions what made the Farigiraf so angry and wonders if the savannah is cursed. Our heroes work together as a team to defeat the Farigiraf and send it packing. Afterwards, a man approaches them, clearly impressed by their work, and he claims that they must be the secret, rumored organization that battle Pokemon all over the world and plot to conquer it. When our heroes try to explain that's not true, he just says, "The truth is what you make it." As Friede arrives, we learn that this is Sohdayo. Upon arriving at the ship, he enthusiastically greets everyone, and we learn that he's an energetic and eccentric character who loves telling exaggerated stories. He also calls himself a truth-seeking Pokemon journalist, and he travels the world tracking down Pokemon mysteries. However, when Molly arrives and sees him as he's about to talk about how she used to look like, she threatens to use Chansey's Pound to send him blasting off if he does. Sohdayo has a habit of interrupting people's questions so he could dive into his own tales, and that's what he does with Friede at first. Molly, clearly annoyed by this, tells Liko not to bring out Terrapagos in front of him because it could be a hassle. We learn from Dot that he writes for an occult magazine and has written stories before that Dot has read. He's written stories like The 100 Faces of Pikachu and tracking down a legendary Pokemon. Even still though, this is an occult magazine, so they wonder how much they can trust it. However, he appears behind them as they're discussing this, saying, "Truth is what you make it." It seems Dot is a fan of his, and he's impressed by them, saying that he might write a story about them. But before the kids can ask him about Entei, the main thing that Friede wanted to meet him to talk about, they get distracted when he says that he will tell them stories about the old time with the Rising Voltaculars. He tells our heroes a story about Murdoch creating a legendary dessert that exploded in popularity, and how pastry chefs all around the world were desperate to get the recipe from him, but he never told anyone. But when our heroes ask Murdoch, he says that while he did make the dessert and it was popular in the ship, that's as far as the popularity went. He then tells them another story about Orla having created a ship so fast that it can go around the planet. Of course, that's not true either. And then we get a great gag. Sohdayo claims Ludlow is a superhero. However, because of his previous two stories being fake, the one thing that we the audience do know is true gets immediately dismissed by our heroes outright. It's a funny moment that leads back to his catchphrase of, "The truth is what you make of it." Before he can tell a story about Molly, she arrives and interrupts him. He pulls out a photo of young Molly, however, but that gets him blasted off the ship by Molly's Chansey. As the kids check on him in the savannah where he landed, before they can ask him about Entei, 3 Farigiraf appear, visibly angry and charge towards them. Captain Pikachu takes them on at first, but when an Espathro suddenly joins the fray, the two species begin to turn their attention towards each other and begin going at it with their psychic move. In fact, the power from the psychic moves are so strong that a massive rock falls off a cliff towards our heroes. But Molly's Chansey is able to destroy the rock before it can hurt the group. Dot realizes that the water nearby has something blocking it, so she asks Roy to have Crocolore destroy the blockage. After using Stomping Tantrum, the blockage explodes, causing a lot of blocked water to come out of the ground and fill the oasis back to its original size. That also causes the Pokemon to stop fighting. Turns out they were fighting a turf war over this area, and in this case, the water. And the reason that the Farigiraf was mad was that our heroes were in its territory. But now that the water is back, it looks like the turf war for everyone has been resolved. Before he leaves, the kid asks him if he's seen Entei, and he just answers pretty straightforwardly that he heard someone saw it in Olivine City. Then that's it. No over-the-top answer, just straight up, which is a great juxtaposition and another joke about the type of person Sohdayo is. As they're heading towards Johto, Liko asks Molly if they can trust the info that Sohdayo gave our heroes, and Molly says not to worry because his Wynaut approved of it, meaning he is telling the truth. Liko then remembers Wynaut approving when Sohdayo was talking about Molly in the past, so she asks about that, and Molly explains that when she was young, she didn't know much about the world, so she just believed everything he said, and kept trying to do all of these crazy wild things. But now, she realized that he was either teasing her or trying to teach her. It, I guess, really depends on her perspective. Like he says, the truth is what you make it. As Sohdayo looks at the night sky, he says to the rising Voltaclos, let's meet again, and his Wynaut seemingly approves, meaning he might actually return in the future. Sohdayo then posts about his interaction on the online version of the Occult magazine, and Dot sees it. The article is about the mystery of the Savannah Curse on the Farigiraf. He says that the true cause was an encounter with an Espathra, and that the clashing psychic power led to the Oasis expanding. He also introduces Liko, Roy, and Dot as key players in this event, and describes all of them, saying Liko is a healing girl who could read the minds of Pokemon, Roy is a reckless boy commanding powerful Pokemon, and Dot is a genius girl with intelligence surpassing AI, and he wonders if the three's teamwork will eventually turn the world on its head. And our heroes are happy to hear that, and that's the end of the episode. I love the final bit of the gag here too. Even in the magazine when he's telling the story, he was basically telling the truth, but also not. Yes, the psychic clash did lead to Dot noticing the water blockage and fixing it, but the article frames it like it was the psychic power that did that. The entire episode's premise is the truth is what you make of it, which is a nice sentiment. It asks kids who are watching the show to be more open to things, while also trying to figure out the deeper meaning behind things. It's an episode that has a lot of charm and does a really good job to endear the viewers to everyone involved. I am curious to see how the English dub will translate this episode. If they do a straightforward translation, you're going to lose a lot of the charm and the subtle meaning behind the jokes. Again, it's not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, but I do think trying to translate this will be a tough job for the English dub. As our heroes head to Johto, looks like we're finally getting more backstory on Ludlow. He's been a pretty mysterious character so far, so I can't wait to see where his story goes. But what about you guys? What did you guys think about this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to like, share, subscribe. That's it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.